Moving to Washington can be absolutely amazing, but at the same time, that challenge can give you one of the worst experiences you've ever had. Whether you're looking for a vibrant city to live in, one of the best places to raise your family, or to be outside in the peaceful countryside, I might just have the perfect place for you. At this point, I am a native Washingtonian. I've been here my entire life. After I left Germany, came here in the 6th grade, did the whole shebang, and then I joined the military and I came back in 2014. And the reason why I came back is I know what Washington is and how it really represents how I want to live my life. And how you know that is because Washington is broken down into regions, so you know exactly what type of lifestyle you want to live. The first region that we're going to break down is going to be the Seattle metropolitan area. And personally, what I'm going to encompassment around is going to be anything around Seattle in terms of Seattle, Bellevue, Redmond, and I guess you can kind of say Renton. It's going to be so close in terms of a neighboring area close to Seattle. When it comes to the climate of this area, you are going to be the West Coast. Now with the West Coast, you are going to have the beautiful water at your fingertips. In this case, for Seattle, you're going to have the Puget Sound. Now with the Puget Sound, and in comparison, it is going to change the weather just a little bit here in this area. When it comes to, for example, January to the beginning of May, that's going to be your wet season in terms of the rain, literally washing over and making everyone's grass green, the trees bloom. It's a beautiful time to be alive. Now, when you are a Washingtonian, you are going to eventually be one with the rain and forget that umbrella, because now it's just a beautiful thing to look at and hear when you're sipping your coffee. The best way that I found to explain the weather to somebody that's not from here is to break it down through seasons. For example, when springtime comes, think of spring showers. You get a week straight of rain, then you get 3 days of sun, and then a week straight of rain. And honestly, it's unbearable. But it's a beautiful unbearable because now your green grass is coming out and you didn't have to water it a single time because Mother Nature is doing it for you. I could be wrong on the timing. You can let me know here in the comments. When summertime comes, to me, it's going to be in the beginning or the middle portion of June, because that's when the rain really starts slowing down. 70 degrees starts happening, 80 degrees starts happening in July, and then now you're prepped and you're beautiful timing because now there's no more rain. It's all beautiful temperature summer, not unbearable heat. But now when it gets to 90 degrees, that's when Washingtonians start to freak out a little bit here in this area, and they'll start reselling AC units. People start freaking out because honestly, there's no real need for AC unit except for 3 months out of the year. Now after summer, obviously comes fall, and that's when sweater weather comes out to play. You start seeing the North Face jackets, the Columbia jackets, probably some Kirkland Signature nowadays, because Costco is alive and well here in Washington State. Now with that, weather does come a little bit lower, and you do get prepped a little bit with rain near the end, because we do typically have wet winters here in this area. We don't really get much for snow. Snow rarely happens, and when it does happen, that's when people forget how to drive. Be safe out there during the winter timing. When it does come to politics here in the Seattle metropolitan area, it is predominantly Democrat or liberal, however you want to put it, next to side to side. It is going to be the same thing, and that is how it's going to be in the Seattle metropolitan areas, and of course in all the big cities across the country. Now with that, there is a strong focus on technology and environmental friendly actions to actually transition to make Washington more green and more self-sustainable when it does come to different things that we as citizens are pushing forward in terms of keeping Washington the evergreen state. Here in Seattle, it's known for its tech industry and its growth and determination to actually be one of the leaders in the world in terms of where tech is actually started. Now, with that does come a larger income base for that industry, so that's why it has gotten a lot more expensive here within the Seattle metropolitan area, but there is a lot of money to be made here as well. So there's a good topsy-turvy feel in terms of teeter-totter. You're going to make more money, but things are more expensive. And which way you want to be? Things are cheaper, make less money. You kind of find that even balance in terms of hopefully your industry aligns, because within this area, if you are in a tech industry, you are going to have an immense ability to grow than you would in different areas. When it comes to the Seattle area, it is extremely diverse. It is a beautiful thing because whenever I go somewhere, I want to see diversity. And when you come here, you see everyone that's not the same as you, and you get to learn from each and every person when it comes to their cultures, their aneurysms, how they speak and communicate. It's a beautiful thing, especially when it comes to the food that they are giving, and honestly, that just leads into the arts. When it comes to the arts here in this area, you get different types of way of expression, whether it be food, whether it be music, or whether it be the traditional art, drawings, and museums that honestly you cannot get in different places that you would get here in Seattle. When it does come to the areas for you to consider within Seattle, you do have different types of ways you can go about it. If you are like, let's just say you're in your 20s or whatnot, or let's say 30s, sometimes some people would be getting down anyway. Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill has all the bars, restaurants, clubs that you could possibly want for your nightlife, has that young, vibrant crowd. You do what you gotta do down in Capitol Hill. Now you also have downtown Seattle. Downtown Seattle as well has nightlife and bars and whatnot, but they also have a ton of restaurants. You have Pike Place, Marketplace. You see people throwing fish in the air. You see all the beautiful landmarks, the gum wall. But of course, sometimes you want to leave Seattle. You want to have a different paced lifestyle. For example, you have Bellevue to your right. Bellevue to your right is going to have a lot of the same things and all the glitz and glam that Seattle does, to a minor degree less. But in my opinion, growing up, I'll be honest, Bellevue was always considered a cleaner Seattle. Then you go further up north, you have Redmond. Redmond's where Tesla is based out of. You have a little SpaceX joint going over there. And with Redmond, same thing. You do have the
clean areas as well because of the elevated price points, but you do have a quieter lifestyle in comparison to what you would see within the big cities of Seattle and Bellevue. If you're thinking about moving to Washington, the biggest mistake that you can make is working with a bad agent. When you work with a bad agent, not only does it cause you emotional drama, it costs you tens of thousands of dollars, and you have to live with that decision for a few years, and you're going to hate yourself and hate that agent at the same time. Fortunately for you, I know what I'm doing. My team knows what we're doing, and if you're trying to work with somebody here in the state of Washington, and for example me, and I'm not in that area, I work with a network of agents that can make sure we get you the best deal possible, and of course the best agent possible to assist you with actually purchasing property here in the state of Washington. So if you're considering moving here in the state of Washington, give me a call. I'll help you out and I'll hold your hand through the entire process like it's our first date, even second date. And you know what? I'm so nice, I might even take you on a third date. So do not hesitate, reach out, call, and I'll make sure that we take care of you in the best way possible. The next region that we're going to speak about is going to be the Spokane area, and that's going to be on the eastern side of Washington. So they have the exact opposite feel of what the west side is going to feel. Now, when it comes to their climate aspect, the climate here is going to be some hot, dry summers. It's totally different. Hot and dry summers, and when the winter comes, if you want some snow, I'm telling you, if you want some snow and some cold weather, go over to the Spokane region and you're going to get hit with a ton of snow. When it comes to politics in this region, it is the absolute opposite when it comes to the King County region because you're going to have a lot more of the conservative views. When you have more of the conservative views, they focus more on, for example, in this area, more of the outdoors, protecting the wildlife, and actually protect the surroundings of what nature brings you. It's less predominant in terms of the liberal views when they're trying to go, eco-friendly, change what you're doing, or adapt. This is more of be one with nature and enjoy the nature, and this is how they're going to be pushing here in this region. Spokane is known for its beautiful parks, its outdoor recreation to the highest degree, and its beautiful atmosphere to actually raise a family because it's more of a tight-knit group when it does come to here in these regions, Spokane, because there's less people here. So everyone's got to love everyone more because there's less people to spread the love out to. For some areas for you to consider when you are looking at the Spokane region, Spokane Valley does have a growing community, affordable housing, and a great place to overall raise a family because of the views and how the education system also is going to be here in this area. You also have downtown Spokane. Now their downtown is going to be totally different in comparison to what you're going to be seeing in the Seattle metropolitan area, Tacoma. It's a little bit of a slower overall pace. And of course, when it comes to how you want to be living your overall life, if you want more of a peaceful lifestyle, quiet lifestyle, affordable housing, and just want to raise from within a community, it's going to be a good location for you to choose overall. The next region on our list is going to be the Olympia area. And in terms of climate, you're going to be seeing the same exact thing that you would be seeing within the Seattle metropolitan area because you are still going to be on the western portion of Washington. Now with that, you are going to have a little bit of breeze from the water as well. So if you ever need a little fresh little way to clean up your hands, you can be able to within the Olympia region. Quick little refresher, you are going to have that coastal climate with the dry summers, and of course you are going to have the wet winters as well. It's overall the same aspect because you are going to be on the western portion of Washington. When it comes to the politics here in this area, you are going to have a little bit more leaning towards the liberal type views, but honestly, you are going to have an even keel in terms of liberal and conservative views, in my personal opinion, of what you're going to be seeing here in this area. Since you're going to be in the capital, Washington, you can honestly say it's going to be more business, in my personal opinion, when you do get to Olympia, because you're going to have more of the people decide in the fate of Washington, but really it's King County that decides what we're going to be doing in the future anyway. When you look at living within Olympia, you are going to be within the state's capital, but you're not going to have that huge glitz and glam that you're normally going to have when you're living in those regions instead. In comparison, all of the larger cities are within Seattle, Bellevue, and Tacoma, and in comparison to Olympia, it's a lot more peaceful and calm down because there's less people per capita. There's less people living here in these regions, so it actually gives you a lot more of, a fresher breath there because you're not so tight next to one another. The property is a lot cheaper in comparison with that when you live within the Olympia region, but of course it does come and appreciate a lot different in comparison to those larger city areas. When it comes to different areas that you can consider when you're living within Olympia, you definitely can live within a lot of waterfront views within Olympia since they are going to be touching that coastal portion, but a lot of the cheaper properties are going to be within the closer you get into town. Also, you are going to have Lacey. Lacey has a ton of new construction in the area because there was a lot of open and vacant land. You're going to see a lot of military, a lot of police force are going to be living within Olympia because at that point in time, it is a lot more affordable to get some new construction than in comparison than you would if you were to find some in Puyallup or some more place in Pierce or King County that you're going to be seeing. And all these places do have their historical context, and they do have colleges here within the area that you can consider in terms of being able to plant some roots down. Then this portion in terms of the Olympia region may be very beneficial for you. Region number 4 is going to be the Tri-Cities area, and that's going to be Richland, Pasco, and Kennewick. Within these three cities, cities, you are going to have a different type of climate that you're going to be seeing in comparison to the western and eastern side. The further more you get to the eastern side, the bigger difference you're going to be seeing within the climate, because it just dramatically changes. With here, you barely get any rain. You'll get some rain, but it's more of an arid type feel in terms of the climate. So you do get more of the drier summer and a colder winter that you're going to be seeing and feeling. When it comes to politics in this area, you're going to have more of the conservative views for sure. In comparison, the further you get away from cities, the less liberal it's going to be. So a lot of people do find that more favorable because, again, politics has become more of an emotional dagger in comparison. When you're taking a look at politics here, it's mainly going to be focusing towards conserving energy, conserving the agriculture, because when it comes to farmland, that is going to be the biggest benefactor of how they're going to provide for their citizens. Of course, you tax them however you want. It's going to be a lot different comparison than if you're going to be in Pierce and King County. Now, being further away, yes, it's going to be cheaper, but there is going to be less amenities and activities in comparison to what you can actually do. Now, I'm not saying you can't do anything with this area. There is plenty of activities in terms of going out and enjoying nature, go out to eat, go to the movies, do what you gotta do. But in comparison, there is less things to do in different areas, which is why things cost a little bit different. So you give up some things and you get more of another. And that's how it's going to work. Whether if it's cheaper or more expensive housing, you give something up, one's going to go up and down. It's like a nice little teeter-totter system, you know, or the scales. It works in every single facet of life. The big three that I also want to point out, just in comparison to the Tri-Cities, is going to be stronger economy, good for your family, as well as very affordable to live out here in this way. Less people. I mean, honestly, there's just so many things that in terms of what people value in comparison. But with those factors, generally when you are further away from the city, the less money you can potentially make too, since there's less high-paying jobs that are going to be away from the city. So there is an idea in terms of you value one thing and you'll get another. The last region I'm going to speak about is going to be the Tacoma area. I'm going to bring in a little bit more of the surrounding cities. When it comes to the climate, it's the exact same thing that you're going to be seeing on the western side of Washington for the climate when it does come to what you're going to be seeing weather-wise. Now, with that weather and translating into how you're going to be taking it in terms of the views of political, when it comes to politics in this area, a lot of the more liberal views are going to be more in the downtown Tacoma area. And basically Tacoma as a whole is kind of, when you get away from the city, sort of 50-50 leaning to liberal side, if we want to say that. But then when you push out a little bit further, you go to Puyallup, Spanaway, Graham, all those, I mean, some portions of Lakewood, you start to get more of a conservative vibe because you are going to be pretty close to JBLM, and that's Joint Base Lewis McChord down here in around the Lakewood, DuPont area. When it comes to the type of policies they are pushing forward, they're trying to have a more of a green footprint. So they're benefiting you to transfer over to tankless water heaters, to solar panels, anything to be able to conserve more energy and to have yourself be less dependent upon anyone. They are going to give you a benefit in terms of tax credits here in terms of Tacoma Public Utilities and Puget Sound Energy are going to be big benefactors of being able to pass those benefits on to you. Now with that, there's different ways in terms of trying to be able to help with traffic concerns of the light rail, but honestly, you're just getting taxed and there's really no way around it. You're just going to get hit if you're in the Pierce and King County areas. When it comes to overall feel of Tacoma has a very big feel in terms of the arts, the culture, in terms of how long it's been established as the city of Tacoma, and they have different regions in terms of how each person feels. For example, when you're in the northern portion of Tacoma, that's going to basically just think money. They're on the hills. That's where all the money from the city goes to keep it nice, clean. And also they have, the waterfront right there. There's just a ton of options. Now, when you get to further out, things start to change a little bit when you're on the eastern side of Tacoma, pushing over to Puyallup, and also vice versa in different areas. But overall, the feel, it really does matter in the terms of the different types of locations you're going to be living within Tacoma. And it's very important to have an agent or someone that understands that, because you can end up in a community or a neighborhood that you're not really too fond of, or you're just kind of rushed into. So there's different areas you kind of plan to. When it comes to Puyallup, for example, Puyallup has more of that white picket fence type feel. They had a lot of new construction, a lot of newer type properties that were there, bigger in terms of, 4 or 5 bed homes. And if you were trying to really grow and put your roots down in terms of having a good education system and being able to enjoy different areas, and they have a lot of cops and military that do live out that way. Then let's translate over to Spanaway. Now with that, they're gonna have a lot of new construction as well. Now with that, Spanaway has been growing a lot better in terms of when I used to live there. It used to be totally different, a little more run down. Now it's kind of, you see huge apartment buildings everywhere, new construction. Then going over to, for example, let's go back to closer to Tacoma in the northern portion, you have University Place. University Place is one of my favorite places in the entire Pierce County because they have the best school system close to in the entire state of Washington. You have good education system, very clean, very safe in comparison to the rest of Pierce County, and it's always a good location in terms of where Tacoma is. The area of Puget Sound in terms of Pierce County is more affordable by far than King County, and this is why there's been a huge rise here here in this area. Washington overall has some beautiful places to live. In my opinion, one of the best places to live in the entire country. Now, it may not be for everyone. Some people can't stand and live with the rain for 4 to 5 months out of the year, but trust me, it's beautiful when everything's green and the air is crisp. You can't say that with a lot of places when you get off the plane. Now, if you're considering to live somewhere here in the state of Washington, feel free and give me a call. All my information will be here down below, and I look forward to our conversation where I can help you live in the state of Washington.